Britain may not be the global power it once was, but there's no denying that this proud and spirited nation still leads the world in needing to self-destruct. With crumbling supply chains and padlocked fuel pumps, we're bracing ourselves for Christmas shortages. But there's two sides to all this. Yes, it'll be harder to find presents, but a lot of people you would have given them to are dead. One plucky investigative reporter captured the desperate moment that horrified customers realised the unthinkable had come to pass. McDonald's had run out of milkshakes.
When the sun is shining and you've come to a McDonald's drive-through, this is the one thing you don't expect to happen. 2 strawberry milkshakes, please.
Sorry, our milkshake machine isn't working at the moment.
No milkshakes?
No, no milkshakes, sorry.
We saw how the McDonald's milkshake shortage was affecting others.
Disappointed.
What are you going to do now?
Maybe probably go. There's an ice cream shop around the corner. Probably go get a milkshake in the ice cream shop.
So I actually tried to order a milkshake because I always get milkshakes when I come to McDonald's and there's a shortage.
How do you feel?
Distraught.
And eventually our tour of drive-thrus in the name of journalism paid off. So, the last milkshake's out at McDonald's. Oh, fantastic. There is now a serious pattern of shortages though. Nando's closed 45 restaurants because there was no chicken, KFC had to impose menu changes, and now a spokesperson for the Golden Arches is blaming the latest shortage on supply chains. We were still holding some of the last McDonald's milkshakes in the country though, and so we did the right thing.
Thank you.
Nectar.
Nectar?
Yeah.
I've seen people who needed a blood transfusion in less of a panic.
It's glorious, isn't it? The one thing I never expected to happen. That man is prepared for a lot of eventualities, isn't he? I went to the drive-thru, I got served by a horse, but to be honest, I was expecting that.
I really like how it's like fixating on the milkshake thing. Like there was other stuff in that report. It was like Nando's closed down some restaurants because there was no chicken. KFC just changed the menu. They both serve only chicken. Nando's closed down completely. KFC was like, we can make it work.
That's so much confidence in themselves and be like, put that spice on anything.
Yeah, the Colonel knows.
Could you just have a sort of a seasoned bucket? Is that...
It's my nickname in uni.
I know we're all laughing at this story, but I think it's quite serious because, like, think of like Khalees. Like, how's she gonna bring all the boys to the yard? Like, it's a huge issue.
It's surprising that it's taken this long for fascism to get a proper foothold in a Britain hosting a bored middle class that salivates at the thought of bringing back public flogging for people who mix up the wheelie bins. Through hard work and her dedication to her role as Home Secretary, Priti Patel has shown that incredible things can be achieved if you strap a brunette wig onto an alligator. Here she is wowing the Conservative Party conference in Manchester with a crowd-pleasing speech on asylum.
All states have a responsibility to control their borders. For where there is a door, there must be a doorkeeper. What is happening in the Channel with small boats is unsafe, unfair, and unacceptable. From the vast camps outside Calais, mainly of male economic migrants, to the shocking images of people crammed into flimsy boats crossing the Channel, exploited by people smugglers, vile criminals characterised by ruthlessness and greed, who even threaten to drown small children just to line their pockets. And then, of course, there is the legal process. If an asylum claim is rejected, there is nearly always an automatic right to appeal. And no surprise that everybody appeals. Even if the decision is to refuse asylum is upheld, there can be yet another appeal, right up until the possibility of further appeals.
Do you imagine what she's like watching refugee footage? My nipples are so hard I could burst that dinghy myself.
I'd love it if she actually spoke like that.
I can't do how she speaks, because she's got that thing, hasn't she, where she speaks like an 11-year-old doing a school assembly speech. And that is why I would like to see those people drown.
I think the thing I respect about her is that she's got so much contempt for absolutely everyone. Like, she can't believe that she's having to say this. Like, because what she's complaining about is that there's so much red tape around being evil. And then when she talks about doorkeepers, every door must have a doorkeeper, by which she presumably means a death squad, where it's an oldie, worldy, everyone, like, there must be a steward by every door, when really she just wants them to be picking off children on little inflatables.
Doors don't have doorkeepers. Like, almost no doors have a doorkeeper. If you're talking to a doorkeeper, you're in a riddle. It's hard to get used to the idea that Premiership footballers are now the good guys. Nowadays, when you hear that footballers were involved in a spit roast, it's probably a community cooking initiative. I just don't get the racism directed towards those young players after the Euros. Imagine being racist towards your own players. They fucked up a penalty shootout. How much more English do you want them to be? But when you can't even leave the house, what can you yell at? One ingenious arsehole made a heartfelt, self-shot protest video showing that you can still make your voice heard even at home. Boo! 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 I thought it confused things slightly that his head looked like a knee.
Do people actually say boo? What are you? I just like he goes into the stands and he's like, homophobic slur, racially aggravated comment. It was so literal.
The noise made by one of those old rattles.
So, is there any hope for Britain? Actually, yes, there is. At any moment, the Hadron Collider might trigger an instantaneous collapse of the universe, which would cheerfully obliterate the UK, along with the entire wretched fabric of the space-time continuum. But in the absence of that happy event, here's a harrowing clip from this morning, where an ever-glossy Holly and Phil are given an excruciating glimpse into the brokenness of Britain.
Friends Claire Vickers and Barry Douglas have a story that they will never live down or easily forget.
Well, on a drunken night out in August, the pair decided to break into a water park in Hampshire. Taking advantage of the empty park, they headed for the water slide.
As a result of their antics, the friends are now temporarily in wheelchairs after breaking their legs and shattering their feet.
You were out, I think you'd been to the pub in the day and you'd obviously been drinking, and then you went to a house party and that's when you met up with Barry. Whose idea was it then to go to the water park?
It's mine.
It was your idea.
Yeah.
Have you done it before?
Yeah, it's just everybody does it.
So bearing in mind, you know you shouldn't be there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so the decision to go down the water slide is whose idea? That's your idea again?
Yeah,
Both, I think it was.
A bit both, yeah. I know, well, that night I didn't plan on going out to do this.
It just happened.
It just happened.
And you go down together, don't you?
Yes.
So I think you're in front, and then you're sort of tucked behind.
Yes.
And down you go. This is meant to be fun.
Yeah.
I think one of the things also, which will be quite important in a minute in the story, is the fact that you decided to skinny dip.
Yes.
I didn't.
You didn't. No, but Barry did. And so you're going down the slide naked.
Yes, I am there. 100%.
100%.
There are comical elements to this. However,
Yes.
what happened at the end of that slide is incredibly serious because instead of shooting at the other end, there is a barrier across the end of the slide.
Yeah.
What was that barrier made of?
Steel.
Yeah.
Steel.
Yes, the sword, barrier, steel.
I mean, it's an astonishing piece of television. I absolutely love it. To me, that's above The Sopranos.
But Holly and Phil are really, like, hard-working, aren't they? So they're on a conveyor belt of this thing, so I would imagine they hardly know what's coming up. So they see two people in wheelchairs, and they're like, oh, this is going to be really harrowing, and then halfway through, they're like, oh, no, this is hilarious.
I like the way they framed it, like it was an epidemic that everyone was going to these water parks breaking in. Like, no, it's just you.
They were shagging in the tube, right?
Clearly.
Yeah.
God, that never occurred to me. Aren't they going down? Wouldn't you go down quite...
Because they were
Wouldn't
trying
you
to
go
make
down
it...
quite fast? Wouldn't you go...
If it was me, she'd have gone down head first, mate. Well, there you go. That's the end of that motion. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Erica. Next up, billionaires deserve to die on Mars.